Software developers think promotions are about writing better code. That's why they get stuck for years. If you want to get promoted fast, here's the first thing you need to understand. Stop focusing only on coding. I know. This is counterintuitive, especially in engineering, but that's not what gets people promoted. I've seen incredibly talented engineers stay at the same level for years, not because they weren't good enough, but because they didn't understand how promotion decisions are actually made. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what you need to start doing if you want to move up faster. So stick around, because what I'm about to share could change your entire career trajectory. Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm a senior engineering manager with over 20 years of experience. I've hired, promoted, and developed engineers across multiple organizations. I've sat on promotion committees, I've defended candidates, and I've had hard conversations with engineers who thought they were ready but weren't. In this video, I'm going to reveal the 3 invisible promotion criteria that managers and directors actually look for. I'll break down the top 5 promotion killers to avoid and the 5 signals to start demonstrating immediately instead. And finally, the organizational reality most career advice avoids and how to navigate it. So, like this video, subscribe, and stay with me till the end to learn the secrets behind how successful software engineers and developers manage their careers effectively. Let's get started. First, let's dive into the invisible promotion criteria for software engineers and developers. Let me say this clearly. We do not promote based on code quality alone. At higher levels, almost everyone writes good code. And in reality, the developers who get promoted faster often write less code, but they create more impact. Promotions are almost never blocked because of technical skill or code quality. They're blocked because of trust. When managers talk about promotions, we're not asking, is this person smart? We're asking, if we give this developer more scope, will the system stay stable? Will incidents decrease? Will other engineers move faster? Will things go right? Or will we lose control? That's it. So the real question is, when do managers think someone is ready for promotion? There are 3 main invisible readiness criteria. The first and most important one is predictability under ambiguity. We don't promote based on how many tickets you close or effort. We don't promote based on years of experience. And we definitely don't promote based on how late you work. We promote developers we can predict. Ask yourself these questions. Honestly, can you deliver without drama when requirements are unclear? Can you handle ambiguity without panicking? Can you handle half-defined APIs and vague product asks? Can you communicate delays early and clearly when things are not going well? A mid-level engineer asks, what exactly should I build? A senior engineer says, here are 3 options, the trade-offs, and my recommendation. Let me repeat it so that you can spot the readiness signal. What exactly should I build? Versus, here are the options, here are trade-offs, and here is my recommendation. Managers don't promote people they need to babysit. They promote engineers who reduce uncertainty, not increase it. The second most important one is influence without authority. Influence is not about your title. It's about whether people listen when you speak. Can you influence architecture, standards, or decisions without being the manager? Ask yourself, do teams copy your patterns and your approach? Do teams change direction after your input and comments? Do other engineers listen to you and adopt your design and ideas? Not because of your title, but because your judgment is trusted. A non-ready engineer says, I told them this was a bad idea. A promotion-ready engineer says, I aligned the team on a better approach. See the difference? Influence means you can change outcomes without forcing authority. Senior managers care about this deeply because at higher levels, authority becomes useless without influence. The third invisible readiness signal is leadership, and this is where many engineers get confused. Leadership is not a role. Leadership is behavior. We don't promote someone into leadership. We promote engineers who already behave like the next level because promoting them feels safe. This is why great coders sometimes don't get promoted. Managers aren't doubting their intelligence, they're managing the risks. And that's why promotions often feel unfair from the outside, because managers are responding to patterns they've already seen. Now let's talk about the part that most developers and software engineers never hear. The 5 behaviors that silently block promotions, even for very talented developers. And what makes them dangerous is that developers often believe they're doing the right thing. The first most common promotion blocker is defensiveness, disguised as being right. Many developers think defensiveness means arguing loudly or refusing feedback. In reality, it's much more subtle. It shows up as over-explaining. It shows up as immediately justifying decisions. It shows up as saying things like, I did it this way because that's what the ticket said. Or that problem was caused by upstream issues. Or we didn't have time to do it properly. None of these statements are wrong. But here's the problem. Leadership doesn't promote developers who defend decisions. They promote developers who own outcomes. A non-ready engineer reacts to feedback by explaining. A promotion-ready engineer reacts by saying, that makes sense. Here's what I'd do differently next time. That single shift signals maturity. The second blocker is that most developers never say, that's not my job, but they signal it constantly. It shows up like this. That's a product decision. That's an infra problem. That belongs to another team. Technically, these statements may be true, but promotions are not about technical correctness. They're about scope. A non-ready engineer uses ownership boundaries as protection. A promotion-ready engineer uses them as starting points. They say, this isn't my area, but here's how I think we should approach it and who we should involve. Leadership notices the difference immediately. The third blocker is invisible work. This one hurts because it affects some of the strongest developers. You deliver solid work, you fix hard bugs, you refactor painful systems. But no one outside your team knows. And here's the hard truth. If your impact isn't visible, it doesn't exist in promotion discussions. Directors and senior managers don't read code history. They rely on summaries, narratives, and examples. A non-ready engineer assumes good work speaks for itself. A promotion-ready engineer makes impact visible. They send short updates. They document outcomes. They connect work to business or system impact. And here is the most important mind shift to note down. Visibility is not ego. It's part of leadership. If you do something, make sure it is visible. And do not major in minor things. The fourth blocker is avoidance. Many developers avoid conflict because they think it's professional. They don't challenge bad designs. They don't address performance and collaboration issues. From leadership's perspective, this is dangerous. A non-ready engineer stays silent to avoid discomfort. A promotion-ready engineer raises concerns early, calmly and respectfully. They say with clarity and respect, I see a risk here. I'm concerned about the long-term costs. We may want to revisit this decision. And when they fail, they say, this is on me, here's what I learned. Leaders trust engineers who surface problems before they explode. The fifth blocker is the I just code mindset. This is one of the most common unintentional blockers. Many developers say things like, I don't want to manage. I just want to focus on technical work. I don't like meetings. And that's completely valid. But here's the misunderstanding. At higher levels, technical work includes people, communication, and decisions. A non-ready engineer sees these as distractions. A promotion-ready engineer sees them as part of the job. Leadership promotes developers who expand their impact beyond their keyboard. If you define yourself only as a coder, you are positioning yourself as a coder. And management will treat you like a coder, not as a leader. If you recognize yourself in any of these blockers, that's a good thing. Awareness is leverage. In the next section, I'll show you exactly how to start signaling promotion readiness immediately. At mid-level, your job is to complete tasks with autonomy. At senior level, your job is to own outcomes. And at staff level, your job is to reduce risk for the entire organization. That's the progression. Now, let me show you the exact 5 signals managers and directors look for when they decide someone is promotion ready. The first signal is ownership of outcomes, not tasks. A mid-level developer says, my ticket is done. A senior engineer says, the feature is live in production, metrics look healthy, error rate is stable, and latency dropped 20%. Ownership means you don't stop at code merged. You think about reliability. You think about metrics. You think about impact. That difference matters more than the code itself. Ownership of outcomes is a massive promotion signal. Managers don't promote people who finish tasks. They promote people who own results. The second signal is that you don't wait to be asked. You don't wait for someone to assign you leadership. And you don't wait for architecture to be handed down. You propose designs and guide the discussions. You frame trade-offs and make recommendations. You schedule meetings and summarize decisions and next steps. A non-ready engineer asks, "What do you want me to do?" A ready engineer asks, "Here's what I think we should do. Does this direction make sense?" When a developer consistently does that, managers notice immediately. The third signal is that you make other developers better. This is also counterintuitive for most junior developers. Here's a question managers actually ask in promotion discussions. If this engineer is out for 2 weeks, does the team slow down or keep moving? If the answer is everything slows down, that's a red flag. Promotion-ready engineers are force multipliers. They increase the team velocity, not dependency. And they make sure the team keep moving by creating leverage. They document everything. They mentor naturally and unblock others. They improve tooling and processes. In summary, the team moves faster because of them, not through them. The fourth signal shows up during problems and incidents. Problems reveal everything. Incidents are promotion accelerators. In high-pressure situations, behavior becomes very visible. A non-ready engineer panics, deflects, or goes silent. A ready engineer communicates clearly, focuses on mitigation first, not blame, and keeps emotions out of it. They don't hide problems. They say, "Here's the risk, here's the impact, and here's my proposed solution." That builds trust. Leadership trusts engineers who stay calm when things go wrong, because things will go wrong. If you can be trusted during an incident, you can be trusted with more scope. The fifth signal is systems thinking. Junior engineers chase perfect solutions. Senior developers and staff engineers don't chase perfection. They understand that no solution is perfect. What matters is whether you understand the trade-offs: performance, reliability, complexity, and long-term cost. They know when good enough is better than perfect. They can balance performance versus complexity, speed versus maintainability, now versus later. Promotion-ready engineers can explain why they chose a solution, not just what they built. Now, here's the good news. You don't need permission to act like the next level. You can start signaling promotion readiness immediately by demonstrating these 5 behaviors. 1. Write design docs. Even for small features, you can write a short one. This shows clarity of thought and long-term structured thinking. 2. Technical conversations. Offer to lead planning meetings, retros, or architecture discussions. This signals confidence and ownership, and managers notice who can guide conversations and align people. 3. Communicate proactively. Send clear weekly status updates with risks and progress. No surprises. This builds massive trust. 4. Mentor intentionally. Mentor intentionally, not casually, not just answering questions, developing people. Managers see this as force multiplication. 5. Think one level up, and most importantly, start thinking one level ahead. Ask yourself regularly, what would a senior engineer worry about here? Or what would a staff engineer try to prevent? Then act on it. Everything we've talked about so far falls into one category: readiness. Now, let us talk about 3 important factors in any plan: what you can control, what you can't control, and what you can influence. Let's start with the part that is entirely on you: how you think, how you communicate, how you show up under ambiguity, and how predictable, influential, and reliable you are. Promotion readiness is an internal process before it is ever an external decision. In this process, you control whether you act like the next level before the title. You control whether you reduce ambiguity or increase it, whether you own outcomes or just complete tasks, whether you make the team faster or dependent on you. You control whether people trust your judgment. And this part matters more than most developers realize. Readiness is not granted. It's demonstrated. No one taps you on the shoulder and says, "You're ready now." You show it consistently until it becomes undeniable. And here's why focusing on readiness is powerful, because it compounds. Even if promotion doesn't happen immediately, your leverage increases. Now let's be honest and talk about the part no one likes, but every senior engineer must understand. There are aspects of promotion you do not control, like budget cycles, headcount freezes, reorgs, or changes in leadership. Sometimes you can be fully ready and still not get promoted yet. That doesn't mean you weren't ready. It means the organization wasn't. This is where many engineers get frustrated and stuck because they confuse readiness with timing. While you don't control these 4 factors, you can influence each one of them. 1. Budget and headcount. You don't control whether there's budget for promotions, but you can position yourself as a high ROI investment. When leaders ask, if we promote this person, what changes? You want the answer to be clear. Scope increases. Risk decreases. Delivery improves. 2. Scope for the next level. Promotions don't happen in a vacuum. Leadership always asks, is there enough scope at the next level for this person? You influence this by already operating at that scope, leading cross-team efforts, owning systems, not just services, becoming the point of contact for complex problems. You don't wait for scope. You grow into it. 3. Span of control. At senior levels, promotions are about leverage. How many people are affected by your decisions? How much surface area do you cover? You influence this by mentoring, documenting, and enabling others, not by becoming a bottleneck. Senior engineers make teams stronger without becoming dependencies. 4. Timing and narrative. Promotions require a story, but more importantly, they require timing. The promotion conversation should happen at the start of the year or promotion cycle, not at the end. In promotion committees, leadership needs a clear narrative they can defend, like, this person has been operating at the next level for X months. Here's the evidence. Here's the business impact. That story doesn't magically appear at year end. Early in the cycle, you need to clearly express your career goal to your manager, align on what next level actually looks like, get your manager's explicit support up front. This turns the year into a proof-gathering phase, not a negotiation. You don't write the final decision, but you heavily influence the story through visibility, consistency, and a manager who is already advocating for you. Otherwise, you risk to be surprised at the year-end conversation when the story was never aligned in the first place. Now, I'll address a harder truth, carefully and professionally. Sometimes readiness is there, but the system is blocking you. You're doing the right things, you're operating at the next level, you're getting results, and still, nothing moves. When that happens, the problem may not be you. It may be the system around you. Large organizations have real constraints, limited headcount, compressed levels, fixed promotion slots, internal politics. Sometimes there is simply no room, even if you are clearly ready. That's frustrating, but it's not personal. Senior engineers recognize this and adjust strategy instead of waiting indefinitely. Now, let's address a more uncomfortable situation, one that engineers rarely talk about openly. Occasionally, a manager is not incentivized to promote you, not because they're bad people, but because incentives matter. In their view, promoting you may create a gap within the team, increase hiring pressure, or reduce short-term delivery speed. In those cases, a manager may be incentivized to delay promotion, not by saying no, but by saying, let's wait another cycle. I want to see more consistency. You're doing great where you are. Individually, these sound reasonable. Over time, they form a pattern. Some managers don't usually have the maturity to say no to promotion. Instead, the expectations are vague, the feedback is non-actionable, and the promotion criteria shift. This is not always malicious. Often, it's a capability gap. Some managers have never successfully promoted someone at your level. They don't understand the next level bar. They lack influence with their own leadership, or they optimize short-term delivery over long-term growth. And that matters because your manager is your primary promotion advocate. Senior engineers don't get emotional about this. They ask, are expectations stable and clear? Is feedback actionable? Is my manager advocating for me when I'm not in the room? If the answer to most of these is no, that's not a signal of conflict, that's a signal of misalignment. When senior engineers see misalignment, they don't panic, they don't jump to conclusions, they choose their approaches deliberately. And here are the 2 main professional options. The first is using skip levels, and most engineers use them incorrectly. Skip levels are not escalation. They're not a place to criticize your manager or say, my manager is blocking me. Skip levels are about calibration. Promotion-ready engineers ask questions like, what does readiness for the next level look like from your perspective? What gaps most commonly delay promotions? What scope would someone at the next level typically own? Notice what's missing. No blame, no emotion, no accusations, just alignment. The answers tell you everything. The second option is internal mobility. Mobility is not quitting in frustration. It's not an emotional reaction. It's a strategic move. Sometimes the fastest way to grow is to move to an environment where your readiness can be recognized and used. Senior engineers treat mobility as part of career strategy, not as failure. Before looking outside the company, strong engineers explore internal mobility, a different team, a different scope, a manager with more promotion bandwidth. This reduces risk and increases alignment, and importantly, it resets the narrative. The third option is external mobility. Sometimes the organization is full. Sometimes the management layer above you is weak. Sometimes there is no realistic path forward. At that point, external mobility becomes rational, not emotional, not reactive, just reality. If you are ready, visible, and consistently blocked, it's time to change the environment, not yourself. That's not impatience, that's judgment. So how to do this without drama? You don't threaten, you don't complain, you don't make it personal, you should stay professional, you gather signal, you validate through skip levels, you attempt internal mobility, and if needed, you move deliberately. This is not disloyalty. It's career ownership. Good leaders respect this even when they're on the receiving end. Now let us talk about the mindset shift that unlocks promotions. Promotions are not just about how good you are. They're about alignment, advocacy, and opportunity. Promotion-ready developers and software engineers know when to grow, when to influence, and when to change environments. The biggest mistake developers make is treating promotions as something they wait for. Promotion-ready developers prepare for them. They focus on readiness first. They influence what they can. And they don't confuse timing with worth. This mindset alone puts you ahead of most developers and software engineers. When you focus on what you control, you win twice. If promotion comes quickly, you're ready. If it takes longer, your leverage, confidence, and options still increase. Either way, you move forward. Every promoted engineer I've seen had some version of a one-page promotion plan, even if it was informal. They knew what the next level required, and they built visible evidence over time. A strong promotion plan includes skills gap, represented by a matrix showing current and next level expectations and behaviors, evidence of visible impact over time, forward-looking scope, and the roadmap to promotion, represented by the key milestones and actions they commit to. If you want a ready-to-use promotion plan template, subscribe, comment plan, or give this video a thumbs up. Now, here's the truth. Promotions are not a reward for effort. They're a bet on future impact. Promotions don't start in HR. They start when your name comes up in leadership conversations and everyone nods. That's how promotions actually happen. Promotions are about trust, scope, and impact. Make yourself predictable. Make yourself proficient. Make yourself ready. And when the opportunity opens, you won't need convincing. If you want to win your career deliberately, you're in the right place. Follow me and subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss the next video.